All right. Cool. So let's get started. It's time to welcome Jordan, our dear circle experts. A few words about Jordan, but he's going to introduce himself much better than I could. He's a founder, he's a coach, he's a serial course creator because not only he built courses, very successful courses himself, but he helped over 250 creators launch their own. Jordan, we're really lucky to have him as a circle expert. He's been here since the early days of Circle. So in addition to being the expert when it comes to community-powered courses, he's also really knowledgeable about Circle, the product, and he knows basically our product inside out. So Jordan, welcome to this workshop. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation to present the first workshop of the bootcamp. So good to see you here.
Yeah, thank you. So glad to be here. And thank you for that intro. I appreciate that.
All right. Are you ready to kick off?
Let's do it. I am super fired up. Yeah, I am really looking forward to this. And thank you all for joining and taking time out of your day. So I'm really excited to share everything that I've been learning over the last few years. And then recently this new community powered course topic. It's really exciting. So let me share my screen and we can dive into it. All right. There we go. Can everybody see my slides and hear me? All good? Nice. Okay, awesome. So we are talking today about how to build a life-changing community-powered course, not just some dusty course that sits on a shelf and nobody really buys it or watches it or uses it or gives you testimonials, but something that's really going to be powerful for you and powerful for your customers. And that's really one of the biggest differences that I've seen in this world just right off the bat is that the old school courses have a very low completion rate, a very low success rate. And it's because they're just designed very differently. And we're going to talk about all of the different ingredients and components of why the old model is not very successful and why the new model is 10 times more successful. So why are we here? Why are we talking about this? And why am I the one speaking to you? I've used courses to really change my life. I've used it. I studied French actually as a major. So my education has no real influence on what I do professionally. And I've had to learn and acquire all of my skills and experience on my own. And a big way that I did that was through online courses. And I've been doing that for about 15 years or so. So I've really seen how they've changed over time. And thankfully, we have much better courses today, community-powered courses, which do an even better job of replacing traditional education. And I think are going to continue to disrupt that model for many years to come. And I find it really exciting as people with expertise, like all of you, who have spent your lives building skills and talent, that you can then share that with other people and get rewarded for that really well financially and be able to build a business and a life that is really meaningful and very powerful for you. So that's what we are talking about today. So I want to start with an example here. So last night I was on the kickoff call of Rite of Passage, and this is David Perel, the founder of Rite of Passage. And he talks about this idea of your personal monopoly. His personal monopoly is writing on the internet and creating a system around that and a brand and a moat to be able to share your ideas and to meet other people that have similar ideas and similar interests, and to be able to really expand your potential of what you're able to create and what you're able to do. And the reality is there's no one in the world exactly like you. There's no one that is from your country, your city, that speaks your languages, that has your exact upbringing, your skills, your education, your life experiences, the jobs that you worked at. And when you figure out what that personal monopoly is for you, it's very powerful because you can monetize it. You can build a brand around it. You're not just competing like 1,000 other people using the same keywords or the same tools. You have something special and something unique. And that, I think, is a really interesting component of building these community-powered courses, is that you're actually selling access to yourself in many ways. So people want to work with you. They don't just want to learn a skill, how to do programming or how to speak French. They want to learn it from you. And that's a really different tilt on the philosophy of community-powered courses versus the old school courses. So let me start with another example and a story of a client of mine. So this is Sarah. And a few years ago, Sarah was working some jobs for not a lot of money that she really didn't like, and really liked writing, similar to David, but in a different way, copywriting. So she wanted to start writing for other people. So she became a freelance copywriter and was able to start earning money on the side, and eventually could do this full time. And she didn't have to work those jobs anymore. So she started traveling the world, working for really cool websites and companies. And people started asking her, how are you doing this? Where did you learn this? How are you doing this? And she started teaching other people how to do this. She just started responding to emails and DMs and just started kind of coaching and teaching like that, until eventually she saw that some people were actually taking her advice very seriously, and they were implementing it and taking action and getting results. And she was like, wow, this is really cool. I don't think I'm a genius. I just know a few more things than they do. And I'm able to get other people the same kind of results that I was getting for myself. So she kept doing that, and then found the problem of one-on-one teaching and coaching is not very scalable. And so she decided, I'm going to take all of these questions that I keep getting, and I'm going to put it into a course. I'm just going to record answers. I'm going to build a community so that I can start talking to more than one person at a time. And so she evolved into a course plus a community. And she's been doing this for 4 years now. So back then, people had to piece together a lot of different tools to make this happen. And that's how she started with Kajabi and a Facebook group. And then she decided, I'm going to transform this into a community-powered course. So she started doing active coaching. She started bringing in other coaches. She started creating groups within the community, and so on and so forth. And she now runs a multi-7-figure business teaching people how to build copywriting careers and businesses for themselves. And it's all on Circle. It's all integrated. It's all there. She now has thousands of customers, and she's continuing to live her dream, traveling the world, teaching other people how to get that same type of freedom. And she's just a great example of what you can do with really any skill set if you can figure out the right way to package it up to help someone achieve that transformation and then monetize it appropriately. So that's what we're going to dive into in more detail here today. Oh, and the best part, she spends about 2 hours a week in the community. So you would think with thousands of students, she would be absolutely a slave to her desk and her computer, and she's working 100 hours a week. And it's absolutely not the case. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to only work 2 hours a week. One of the things we're talking about is how to design a CPC that meets your lifestyle and your needs and your priorities and your goals. You might want to work a lot more than that. But for her, she actually chose to grow a team and grow a business and hire other coaches. And that's how she wanted to optimize her life to meet her personal goals. You may not want to do that. That might sound more complicated or more difficult for you. And so you spend 10 or 20 hours a week yourself doing the work inside the community, coaching, responding. So it's really up to you. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. Okay, so first we're going to cover the ingredients of a CPC. What are the things that you need to include in order to transform a course that you already have into a CPC? Or if you're building one from scratch, being able to select some of the right ingredients from the beginning. This is going to be interactive. So sometimes I can get on a roll, but I want to stop, and there's going to be some interaction here. I'm going to ask you guys some questions. So I want you to type into the chat, and we're also going to do a little bit of work together. So we're going to review our CPC maps. I'm really interested to see what you guys have come up with. And if you haven't completed your maps, then we're going to have a few minutes to work on them right now together. The next important thing is that we're going to cover the value, price, and model of your program. One of the things we're going to talk a lot about is the transformation that your program delivers, but there are many different ways to deliver that. So we're going to talk about what's the right way to position it, price it, and deliver it. And we're going to do an actual live demo of Sarah's community, a very successful CPC. We'll talk about your next steps for how do you move forward, and then we'll have some more Q&A at the end. Okay. Before we dive into the meat, I just want to give a quick little background on myself. So I'm a Circle expert. I've been around from the early days, as Mathilde said. I created a course from 0 to $1 million a year in recurring revenue a couple of years ago, before CPCs were really a thing, but we actually had that idea in mind from the very beginning because it was a very niche course in the radiology MRI market. And there's only about 100,000 MRI radiologists in the world. So we knew that community was going to be a foundational thing because they all kind of know each other. And the more that we could bring those type of people together and create more and more value, the more successful the course was going to be. And I've worked with a lot of people in my career. I ran a marketing agency for 10 years, and I've consulted with over 250 online businesses. And I've built some of the top communities and worked with top community creators in Circle. And I moved from Cincinnati, Ohio to Querétaro, Mexico. So that's a picture of me and my wife, Sarah, and my daughter, Izzy. And we love it. You guys should come visit. Okay, so first question. I would love to hear, we've got 110 people on or so. So I want to know how many of you already have a course that you've already built pre-Circle, or maybe you built it on Circle, but before the recent courses feature, or are you building a course from scratch, your first one right now? So go in the chat and let me know, already have a course or building a course from scratch. All right, the comments are the flood of comments. First one, already have a course. Gustavo already. First, Eric building. I have a mini course, but didn't sell it. Building one right now. Scratch. Okay, what do you think, Matilda? Is it about 50-50?
I would say so, from what I could gather with the fast chat.
Okay, great. That's good. This will apply to both of you. Okay, next question. How many of you are already doing some form of coaching? How many of you are coaching in some capacity? So if you're coaching, just write yes or coaching. Coaching is a big component. Yes, lots of yeses, couple no's. Okay, lots of coaching going on. Great, that is helpful. Coaches will be able to take advantage of this very easily. And then how many of you have an active community right now? So maybe you don't have a course, or maybe, but you have a community. Oops. Yes, okay. Small one, Circle community.
I would say we have Facebook. 50-50 as well, I would say. A bunch of new folks, maybe who joined us from the summit, and I see a lot of Circle community builders, people I've seen in the community. So it's a mixed group.
Yeah, 60,000 also on Facebook, everything from scratch. Okay, great. All right, so that's helpful. We're not going to cover marketing today and how you grow and build that, but once you do have an audience, then this is the next step to put them into some type of coaching community or CPC so that you can start to help them achieve their goals. Okay, so let's talk about this concept, the maturity curve or the product life cycle, because this is an interesting thing for where we are in the history of online courses. So courses have been around for quite a while now. I imagine all of you have taken a course or 2 or 10. And in the early days, let's say 10, 15, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, the dawn of online courses, it seems, they were really hard to create, right? Like everything was really expensive. We didn't have the tools we had today, hosting and editing and just all of the stuff. There weren't the platforms. There were people doing it. I remember back to old school Frank Kern and some of the early internet marketing guys and Jeff Walker, and they were selling super expensive courses, like $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000, maybe $10,000 just for videos. So they would slam 40 hours of videos on your desk and people would pay a lot of money. And that was really in this introduction and phase. As we move into the growth phase, a lot more people entered the market because it became a lot easier to create, and mainstream started to catch up of people buying online courses as a normal thing of putting your credit card in online and doing that. As this continued to grow, I think we're now into this maturity phase and potentially in the dip of the decline of old school courses, because so many marketplaces have popped up. You've got Udemy and Skillshare and all of these other places that just pump out tons and tons of courses. I think you can go buy almost any course for like $10 now on Udemy or some of those mass marketplaces. So the value has dropped. There's just so much supply, and people aren't willing to spend thousands of dollars anymore on watching videos. That's just information. And now we have YouTube and unlimited information on the internet. So we're at this really interesting point where the old product is declining and there's a new opportunity to start this product life cycle over again and start a new phase of introduction and growth in the CPC world, because it's not the same thing. It is a totally different product. It has a component of the old product of videos, but you're adding so much more. And the value is so much higher that people are back to spending thousands and thousands of dollars on products like Rite of Passage or Building a Second Brain or Write Your Way to Freedom, which I'm going to show you. So this is really good news for course creators. It's no longer a race to the bottom. It's really a new frontier of creating value and being able to grow a business really profitably. Okay, so the big difference, if we really zoom out, the 30,000-foot view, is that old school courses focus on information. That's where they put all of their value. It's 52 lessons, 12 modules, 40 hours of content, 32 pages, ebook, like all of that kind of stuff, because that's all that they had. So you can't knock them too hard. And that used to feel and sound really impressive, right? The new model is all about transformation. So we don't want to talk about that stuff I just mentioned because it's really not what people care about. Now it's all about the transformation. So this is where we have an interactive moment. I want to hear, what is your transformation? So this is one of the boxes on your CPC map. Hopefully you've already filled it out. This is the most important thing that you've got to nail. If you miss this, then none of the other stuff matters. You have to have a transformation that is really valuable and that people want and that people are willing to spend money on. So please put into the chat, copy and paste your transformation. If you don't have it done, let's take a minute here and do it together. And I'm going to read some of these. Okay, become a more confident student of Scripture. Growing towards life and spiritual mastery through being guided by your inner voice. Okay, those to me don't sound like a super clear outcome. I'm not sure exactly what that would look like. You want to try to give a really clear, tangible picture of what they'll have in their life, what they'll be able to do, how they'll feel, from crappy life to satisfying and meaningful life. Yeah, it still feels fuzzy to me. I had problems with this because I have many options. Yeah, Sarah. So yeah, it's hard to get rid of all the options and just pick one thing, but you got to pick one thing. And that's going to make it so much easier to sell, to deliver, to market. Build a bulletproof brand, said Brooke. I want to help you guys make these really, really sharp and really, really powerful. So I'm just giving you really raw and honest feedback on them. I don't know what I would have if I had a bulletproof brand. Does that mean I would double my sales or lower my acquisition cost or not have to run ads? What does that mean exactly? How do you describe a transformation for someone new to a skill like sewing? I know the transformation for someone with basic knowledge. Yeah, so a transformation with a skill like sewing is sew your own shirts in 30 days, something like that, right? Like I know exactly what I'll get. I'll be able to make my own clothes, make your own kids' clothes, create a quilt in 10 hours or less. That's a transformation. Transform from a brain injury patient who is very limited in life to having their symptoms resolved and living happy and fulfilled life. Okay, so it sounds like something around being able to get their old life back, being able to get rid of some of these old symptoms. Maybe if there's something specific you could call on, I'm not sure exactly what that is. If it's like being able to drive again or walk again or work again, or I don't know, something around that. It's all about specificity. The more specific, the better. Become a confident C-suite leader. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff around confidence here.
Which is an interesting point, Jordan, right? Because transformations can be both practical, but also more like emotional, I guess. And I don't remember who said this, but like the best transformations have both like a very concrete outcome, you know, land a new job in tech, but also feel more
Yeah.
confident in my interviews type thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So for the confidence ones, I would try to push you to get even more specific of what does that mean to be confident? Does it mean giving a presentation, you know, speaking publicly without any anxiety, or getting a promotion, or what does that look like? Okay, so still working on this, but something like stop feeling overwhelmed and launch your website. Do I need to add a time to this? Adding a time to it, I think, helps a lot. It really sets expectations. I saw someone on Twitter the other day that was asking for naming advice on his product. One was how to build a prototype using Ruby on Rails, and the other name was 24-hour MVP. And I was like, yeah, it's obvious. 24-hour MVP, minimum viable product, is a way better name than building a prototype on Rails. One is so clear and specific of exactly what you're going to get and how long it's going to take, right? Some of these things, I don't know if they're going to take me a week or if they're going to take me a year to get confident. So, for example, maintain healthy digital habits. Okay, Harriet, I don't think that's really a transformation, especially use the word maintain. That's just continuing, I think, to have healthy digital habits. I would say something more like how to stop being addicted to your phone and spend more time with your family members, or how to cut your screen time down to an hour or less per day. Those are just some raw thoughts off the top that I hope can help you make that a little bit more clear. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's get moving on to the next thing. So for me, mine is a bit meta, and I'll share mine with you guys. So I'm working on a course and a program to help people build community-powered courses. So that's what my transformation is. Mine is that you will have a highly engaged community-powered course that creates higher rate of student success and beats out competitors who are still selling old school courses. So it should be pretty clear. If you have a course, you'll be able to transform it into a CPC, or if you don't have a course, you'll learn how to build a highly engaging CPC that creates great student outcomes. So again, the value of the old school courses is all on the information, but the problem is nobody wants information. We are flooded with information. We have too much information. So if you're selling a course on how to learn French, that's not really what the person wants. That might be what they say they want or what they're looking for, but they're trying to experience something in life with learning French. So that might be going on a vacation on their own in the south of France and being able to navigate everything flawlessly, speaking to locals, asking for directions, or being able to order in a restaurant and make sure they're getting the perfect meal, or being able to go and hang out with locals and go out with their French friends and have them not have to switch back to English. So these are the types of things you can use in your language, in your product names, in the website, in the delivery, not just, I will teach you how to speak French, and going on and on about grammar and that kind of thing. The CPCs, again, they're focusing on the implementation. The information is great, but you have to apply it. And when you try to apply it, that's when all the problems come out. That's when all the questions come out. So that's where all of the value is, if you actually help them implement. So the transformation might look like successfully landing a promotion or a date. And this is a successful CPC called Jaunty that runs on Circle. Or another example of the transformation might be forming your new offer and closing your first customer. And this is Write Your Way to Freedom. So this is people who are becoming copywriters and getting customers and growing their business. Or recording your first video that tells your story well and makes you feel confident that you look good and sound like a professional, which is Dan Bennett's Video for Entrepreneurs. Right? So I hope that these are giving you the idea of the shift that you want to make. And when you start to think about these, this is not, you're going to learn all about video production or you're going to learn about social skills or whatever. It's about the outcome and the transformation. So how much is that worth for you? Because that's what you want to sell. For some people, they might say that could be worth $100, and other people could say that's worth $10,000, because these can truly be life-changing outcomes. Landing a promotion, well, what job, what industry, what salary, right? Going from $100,000 to a $250,000 job. Yeah, I think a lot of people would pay $10,000 to get that outcome. Okay, if you want to make your value of your transformation in your offer even more valuable, I want to share this bonus tip with you. This is from Alex Hormozi. He wrote a book I recommend called $100 Million Offers. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. This is his value equation. So on top, you have the dream outcome. This is the transformation you're selling. You're going to multiply this by the perceived likelihood of success. How likely are they to actually get the outcome? In the old school courses model, the number was very low, right? You're going to watch all these videos and then hopefully you're going to implement it perfectly. And hopefully you're not going to have any questions or problems. And hopefully you're going to change your life and be really successful. Very low chance of success. In the CPC model, that number is way higher because you are coaching them, you are responding to their questions, you have office hours, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's more people that are going through the same journey and they're getting success. So they're able to help each other, encourage each other. It's a much better model. On the bottom, these are the detractors. So you have how long is it going to take? So when you guys were asking, should I put a time delay or a time on my offer, I think it helps to set that expectation. Is it going to take me 2 years or 2 months? And then how much effort and work is it going to take for me to get that? So if you can reduce the time delay to as short as possible, that will make your offer much more valuable. And if you can reduce the amount of effort and work that somebody has to do, they obviously have to do the work, right? You can't do the work for them, but you don't have to force them to watch 40 hours of videos. You can provide templates, you can provide playbooks, you can help give them shortcuts. And in the end of the day, that's what people are buying. They want to buy a shortcut to the success. You've already done it. You know the path. You've probably spent a lot of time making mistakes. So you can get rid of all that wasted time and say, hey, it took me 2 years, but I actually know how to get you there in 2 months. And I've done it 9 out of 10 times for people that show up. So it's a very high likelihood that if you follow my system, you're going to get this result. And if you don't get it in 2 months, I'll keep working with you for free until you do. It's almost a guaranteed result at that point. So you're able to put the price and the value so much higher. So I recommend checking out that book, Alex Hormozi. All right, is this making sense so far? Are we going too fast? Is this, there might be some repeat here for people that were on the summit, but I think it's good for people that maybe missed part of it. Okay, the book, again, is $100 Million Offers, Alex Hormozi. Yes, get this book.
So good, so helpful. Thank you. Earlier, Susan said, so helpful, true value add. So I think you're doing well, Jordan, here.
Nice. Okay, let's recap. We're, I think, about halfway through here. So old way, focused on information, hard to charge a lot of money, boring and static, no accountability. You're just in solitary confinement, watching a mountain of videos all by yourself. No one cares if you do it or not. High dropout rate, no support, copyable and easy to pirate, which happens all the time. Every popular online course is available for free on Pirate Bay and the internet. And it's just videos only, right? That model is dying and it still exists. There are still some use cases for it. I'm actually going to talk about an ironic fact at the end. But the new model is so much better. So we want to focus on transformation. It's easier to charge high dollar because it's a different product. It's not apples to apples. It's an alive and dynamic community program event. It's engaging and you're on a shared journey with other people. So you're not alone. You feel energy, you feel accountability. There is a much higher success rate. You have support from the instructor, from the coaches, from the community itself, the other members, and it's impossible to copy, right? Because it's you. You're showing up, you're adding value, you're responding, you're teaching, you're coaching. And so it's a mix of a lot of things. It's the live events, the community, the trainings, the Q&As, bringing in outside experts. It's impossible to copy. And that's back to your personal monopoly. So really tapping into what makes you special and unique, and then finding your tribe of people that want that. Okay, now we're going to dive into the ingredients. So old school courses, pretty basic, videos and handouts. That was pretty much it. Now we've got a lot more to work with. So don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to do all of these things. In fact, you probably shouldn't do all of these things. This is just the big menu of options. And I'm going to show you now, how do we combine them in a way that works for you? So for example, this is Jaunty that I mentioned before. They're all about social skills, helping people get promotions, get dates, all of that stuff, be able to talk to people without anxiety. So what they offer is pre-recorded videos that lay the foundation. Then you have community discussions. People are talking about challenges or when they went out and tried to use their new social skills, what happened. The big thing they offer is coaching. So it doesn't really help you to watch videos about social skills and never practice using your social skills, right? You can only get better at boxing when you're inside the ring. And that's what they offer. So every single day they have a 30-minute call where people show up and they talk to each other. They get feedback from the coach. They break out into small little breakout rooms. They try different techniques. There's a theme, there's a topic, there's getting rejected or asking or telling a story, lots of stuff. And so for people, especially during COVID, this was huge because how do you get to go interact with a bunch of strangers all the time? It's really hard to do that. So people show up every day and they get a lot of practice and they get much better really fast. So it's really cool. This is the next example. Write Your Way to Freedom. So this is Sarah Turner, who we talked about earlier. This is a much bigger program, and it's also a lot more expensive. So she actually charges over $5,000 for this program. It's a very serious program, and she's very committed to her students' success. So there's a lot of things going on here. One is there's a very thorough pre-recorded course, and I'm going to show you that. It really goes through laying the foundations, because one thing about this model is you don't want to show up and repeat yourself over and over and over again. It's not a good use of your time. You want to think about leverage. So if she's teaching a bunch of newbies the basics of copywriting and then the basics of being a freelancer and then growing their business, they're all going to have kind of the same questions and problems in the beginning. So it doesn't make sense for her to just explain the same thing every single week. So you put that into the pre-recorded content that people can go through on their own time, but then show up to the live events to get specific feedback, talk about specific challenges and problems of them implementing it so that they can get over that step and on to the next one. She's got a bunch of community discussions. She's got places for job opportunities, sharing their wins, networking with other people. And then coaching. So coaching is a big thing. She's actually hired multiple coaches, both to help with business challenges and to help with copywriting challenges. So two different skill sets, different days of the week, there's live coaching. And then she does Q&A every single week. And then there's a few other things here at the bottom. So letting people break out into small groups based on demographics or interests or a lot of other things so that they can create more relationships, create accountability, all of that stuff. So people are really feeling a lot of commitment and identity as being a part of this community. All right, so we've talked about her quite a bit. I would love to give you guys an example, and we'll actually go through her community here for a second. So this is her community. I want to start by prefacing with a couple things. We built this community about 6 months ago. And so that was before the new updated Circle Design V2, which we're going to be moving to soon. And it was before the Circle Courses feature was live. So that's why it looks like this. You might not have seen many of the courses or the communities on V1, but let me show you. This is how we were building courses back in the day. So for example, going into her community right away, you've got all of this pre-recorded content. So for example, if you're going to start a business, you need to pick a niche, and she explains how do you do that, has some downloads, different niche ideas, all of that kind of stuff. So people can have conversations about these individual lessons. And then when they're ready for the coaching, which they should jump into right away, there's a couple different places that they do that. So here is the business coaching or the work sessions. And you can see that there's a few different coaches. We've got Chelly and we've got Ryan that do different sessions every single week. And then we've got copy coaching, which is going on also every single week with a couple different coaches, Carly and Kristen. And then we have live Q&As. So she shows up every Wednesday, and it's cool because she took 3 weeks off recently and was traveling around Europe and North Africa. And she even just logged in here from Morocco to do her weekly Q&A call. So think about it. When you've optimized your business that well, you don't even have to drop the ball. And she enjoys doing it anyways. So Here we've got the recording. She did this through Circle live streams, and we've got all of the questions that people asked. The nice thing is if someone were to go to the search bar and search one of these questions, this post is going to come up. So someone joins today and they search, can a blog be edited, right? Or am I ready to post on Medium? They're already going to get this answer, even though this was recorded a month before they joined. So it's a really great use of Circle. We've got general discussions, opportunities for jobs, and this is an interesting spot. So her community has over 1,400 members, and any group that gets that big starts to break off into subgroups and subclicks. And before this, because this community is now 4 years old, she used to be on Facebook and Kajabi. And so on Facebook, she found that people were actually going off and starting their own sub Facebook groups so that they could have a smaller place to talk. But then she lost all control of that because she doesn't have visibility into just someone else's rogue group. So it became really bad for the community, and it just started to create fragmentation and stuff. So now we're able to bring all of that here into Circle. So for example, there's a bunch of people that live in their RVs and are full-time copywriters. So we can have a private secret area just for these 77 people that live in their RVs, so they can talk all about RV stuff and not bother anybody else who maybe just wants to talk about copywriting. So it's a great way to be able to create even more stickiness and value inside your community just through this structure. All right. And because it is such a big program and people are really thinking about being in this for at least a year to multiple years, there's a lot of onboarding that is required in order to make sure somebody really gets the value out of it. So we just set all of this up because, again, the idea is you don't want to be repeating yourself. You want to give everyone a great experience. So this is an ideal way to do that. All right. I hope seeing that example was helpful, because that is a very successful community that I think a lot of people would aspire to have. Let's talk about a couple myths. So the first one is CPCs are a lot more work than self-paced, simple delivery, simple content delivery, or old school courses. Yes, because they are not the same thing. They're apples and oranges. A lot of people built old school courses because they were considered passive income. All I have to do is record these courses one time, put it online, never think about it again, and money just rains in, and that's it. I don't have to talk to anyone. I don't have to help anyone, answer questions, none of that stuff. That's why a lot of people did it. People did them as side hustles, or that was just the type of business they wanted to have. CPCs are not passive. They're active. You are putting in time. You're putting in work. In the internet marketing world, passive and active, passive income is super glorified. Active income is not as sexy. But the reality is it's almost impossible to generate a lot of passive income without first being really successful at creating active income. So CPCs do take time, but as you saw, Sarah is running a multi-million-dollar business and spending 2 hours a week inside her community. So it's definitely possible. I need to have a lot of members in my CPC for it to work. Not true. So Sarah has 1,400 members. That's a lot of people. My friend Jay Klaus, I just joined his community called The Lab. He's also a fellow Circle expert. He just capped his community at 200 members. He's not yet there, but he's close. And that is one of the highest engaging, highest value communities that I have ever been a part of, because Jay's able to spend so much more time and effort on every single person and make sure that they're really successful. So I've been blown away at being in Jay's community. 200, you might think or say that that's also a lot, but it's definitely a lot smaller than 1,400. You could take that same thing and have a community of 20, and you're really shepherding 20 people on a journey, on a process, getting to that final destination that they're going for. So you don't have to have hundreds and hundreds or thousands of members for it to work. And then the last myth, people aren't ready to pay more for community versus just the content. Okay, this one is an easy one. Content is just not very valuable anymore, right? Why would you want to pay a lot of money for something that is super abundant and free inside of Google and YouTube and tons of other places, right? We are swimming in information. We're just buried in information. But what we don't have is hands-on help. We don't have accountability. We don't have coaching. We don't have support. We don't have the ability to ask the actual expert that we're learning from. You can watch someone's YouTube videos all day. How are you going to get help? So I think that people are much more willing now to spend money on community and on connections and on all of those other great things I just outlined than they are for just content alone. And I think the proof is there. Like, people are spending $5,000 with Sarah for her community, and it would be hard to find many $5,000 video courses that are still selling and doing well. If you guys know of any really high priced video courses, I would love to see them. Please send them my way. Okay. We've been flying. I think we're at 40 minutes now, so it's gone a little bit over. But so to recap, what is the transformation you can help someone achieve? Get super clear on that. I think putting time around it is really helpful. How much is that worth to them? Make your program more valuable by shortening the time to get the results, increasing the likelihood of success, and ideally both. And you don't have to build everything up front before you launch. CPCs are different. It's not the old school model anymore. They are a living, breathing entity. It's a community. It's like a garden. You're planting things. Things are growing. You're plucking them. You're replacing them. You're experimenting. You're changing. You're learning what works and you're learning what doesn't work. So it's not just one static thing. So you can get started now. In fact, you want to start as soon as possible and get feedback so that you can improve it. Without the feedback, you're shooting in the dark. Okay, that is it. So thank you very much for listening to me. I'm really interested in answering your questions. There's a couple ways I can continue to help you. If you're interested, you can sign up on my website to get my newsletter where I talk about CPCs and courses and marketing and all of that stuff. I'm also launching my own course on CPCs that I had mentioned earlier. I said that there was an ironic thing about it. Here's the ironic thing. I decided to offer two options. One is the actual CPC model, where we go through the journey together. I show up and coach you on a weekly basis. I help you answer questions. We troubleshoot things. And that's a 6-month thing, but it's more expensive. And that's the thing is, because it's an active model, they almost have to be more expensive because you're selling a lot of your time. So I do also offer a do-it-yourself version, an old school course version where you can just watch the videos, because some people might be able to figure it out all on their own and they really don't need the extra time or help. So I've offered a really cheap version there. So don't, crucify me if you see that I'm also selling an old school course version. I do offer both. And it's a bit of an experiment, to be honest, to see how that goes. I wanted to make it as affordable for the most amount of people. So that's my approach right now. So yeah, anyways, that's my pitch. Should we go into questions?
Let's do it, Jordan. Thank you so much for this awesome workshop. Seriously, it's just the best introduction, the most in-depth introduction to CPCs that I've heard. So you're definitely the expert on the topic. Can I ask you to stop sharing your screen, and then we're going to take some questions. We have about 10 minutes. Just a few guidelines on questions. A few of you have done this already. To ask a question, raise your Zoom hand. We're not going to take questions from the chat today, but we will keep the chat and address any questions or any topics that we might not have time to cover afterwards. When you ask a question, do ask one question, not 5 or 6, just one, so we make space for everyone. And yeah, keep it short and sweet, not like what I'm doing here. So, all right, Kathy, do you want to ask the first question? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I was wondering, do CPCs work if you're not doing any live sessions? So can you communicate asynchronously with your students?
Yeah, good question. Can you give me, are you already doing this, or have you seen anyone else do it? Can you give me some more context?
No, so my reason is that my community is mostly based in the UK, but I'm hoping to move to Canada in the next year. So I'm trying to create something that isn't time zone dependent because I don't want to then try and find a time that is convenient for Canada and UK people if I start growing a network in Canada when I move there and stuff as well.
Yeah. So what I've seen is that the 12 o'clock, 11 to 12 o'clock time zone in the North America tends to work really well for UK as well, because I think it's about 6 or 7 p.m., which is about what we're doing right now. So I've seen a lot of people continuing to do that without a problem, because it's also after work in the UK. So for people that might have that constraint, it actually could be helpful. But I haven't seen many CPCs that don't have a live component, to be honest. I'm not saying it doesn't work. You could use Loom and do a lot of asynchronous video back and forth, and that could be an option. But it is one of the key components that I have seen has been the live element.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And that 12 p.m. Eastern time is definitely the magic kind of like time that works for everyone in Europe. So awesome. Sarah, would you like to ask the next question? Go ahead and
Hi. Me, right? Yeah. Hi. My question is, when you have, because I asked it earlier in the chat, but I'm still stuck. When you have multiple ideas, how, and you're uncertain which one to choose, what would be a right way to like weight them and choose the proper transformation, let's say?
So are they 3 wildly different ideas?
They're still not wildly, they're still like for international students, but one mostly focuses on the study part and like focusing on like how to improve your grades here as a newcomer. One focuses on the lifestyle part, where people usually struggle with like how to say, getting used to the environment and like getting a job and all of that. And the other part is helping students come to go study abroad. So I don't know.
Yeah. So what came to mind for me was actually moving up one level and having kind of an umbrella offer and having all 3 of those things underneath, because it sounds like your thing is about studying abroad, moving to another country, being successful in school and in the society and all of that kind of stuff. So I would think that I would want to have all of those things. I wouldn't really want to have to pick or choose. So maybe you think about branding the program in that way, where, like, for example, the Right Way to Freedom, they have to teach you the skills of copywriting, but then they have to teach you the skills of getting clients and selling the clients and receiving the money and running the business. You can't just do one or the other or it's not successful. So sounds like for you, it's a similar thing where you need to have multiple components. So like hers is Write Your Way to Freedom. The freedom part is like the business and the success, but it's about the writing. So I would think for you, how do you create a dream aspiration of moving to another country and being, you know, creating a really successful life?
Great. Yeah, because I was having that thing and I that idea, and I thought I had to zone in a little bit more, but great, thank you. That confirms that I was on the right track. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Robin, over to you. What's your question for Jordan?
Hi, thanks, Mathilde. Thank you so much, Jordan. This was awesome. My question is I have a very engaged community audience. Like my community right now resides in Facebook. I have the know, like, trust factor. I offer a lot of value. I offer support groups. They don't seem to have either the perceived they don't have the money, or truly they don't have money and they don't see the value in my time. And I don't know where to pivot to next.
Yeah. What are you trying to sell them? What's the price and what's the offer?
I don't have a course yet, but I want to go down that route. But I right now offer 90 minutes of my time. I have 4 different support groups I offer a week. I've been offering it for free for a year. I just started to monetize it, and all I'm charging is $5 a person per meeting. And there was no backlash, but I saw the attendance drop a little bit. And yeah, they just don't, they want the cheapest way to everything, the cheapest retreat. They want the cheapest everything.
So did you hear people saying $5 is too much?
No, but I did do a poll in my community asking what they would pay for a monthly community in Circle. And it ranged from $5 to $25 a month. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like it, so do I offer then a community with that value, like a $25 value a month, you know? And for some, they're not going to pay $25 a month. or because like I had grandiose ideas on what to put in this community, and
And what is the transformation you help them with?
my whole business is around coming out late in life. These are women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s who were living heterosexual lives, married to men, and suddenly woke up and realized that they're gay and they need help navigating that transformation.
Wow.
I facilitate a lot of stuff to help them do that.
I'm saying that because it sounds like a very deep problem or pain or transformation that
Absolutely
is worth
is.
a lot of money to successfully navigate that.
I know.
So, I mean, we could probably talk about this for like an hour.
You have office hours?
Yeah, DM me after and we can talk about this. But pricing is a crazy art and a science combination. There's people like Sun Yi from the Summit who charges $5 a month for his community, but he's got a ton of people in there. I don't see many people doing that. Most people I see are going the high ticket route, which is also what I prefer. So how many people do you have in your Facebook? Like a couple hundred or 1,000 or more?
3,000.
Okay, 3,000. So what if you served 30 of those women and they paid $1,000 or more? Like, is that something that you would be interested in?
I could, I wonder if I can find 30 people,
Yeah, because that's the problem with Facebook, is that there's just a lot of tire kickers and it's a lot of free and just people that will never pay no matter what. That's why they're on a free platform like that. And maybe they just have a bunch of free time. And so that's why they're kind of doing that. So you want to look for the serious people. And I think part of it is clarifying what the offer is and what the transformation is. And then saying, I'm not going to keep giving away my time for free. You all have seen what I do. You either want it or you don't. And I'm going to spend my time with people that are really serious. And so I think there's ways to get there, but that's what I would suggest.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. There's so many great questions in here. We have a couple of minutes. Jordan, can you go over 5 minutes or so? Can we steal a bit more time?
I got
Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Let's keep the questions short and sweet, but I wish we could just stay there. Maybe next time we have to do just Q&A with you, and we'll probably do it, I think.
That would be great.
Michelle, would you like to ask the next question? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'll be very quick. Going back to that site, Write Your Way to Freedom. Those interest groups, that was something I've been searching for, because I want to do those smaller kind of growth groups. You call them interest groups. So how did they do that? Were those separate spaces, going back to her website, so that people could have smaller cohort discussions?
I don't know if Jordan is frozen or very still, but while we're figuring things out, Michelle, so on Circle, and that's something we can explore and go through during office hours every Tuesday. You can have spaces that your members decide if they want to join, or you can also have private spaces where only specific members are invited based on specific criteria. So what I've seen work really well is, like, let's say there's this community called Fresh Exchange, gardening community. What they've done is they have the spaces where general discussions are happening, knowledge sharing. You're back.
Oh, yes. Great. Oh,
right.
Okay. So Mathilde, the interest groups on that person's site in Circle, those were spaces. I think that's where I was going. Okay.
That's right. And let's definitely talk about this during office hours every Tuesday if you want to come in and just share.
Yeah, I just wanted that. That's all, because I can figure that out. I just didn't know what that was, because I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it on that large of a scale. And I was like, oh, that's exactly what I was looking to do. But I didn't know that was just a space.
Spaces are so flexible. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Mathilde, I don't know if you have a hard stop, but I'm happy to go like 15 or 20 more minutes if you guys want. If there's.
I don't, and that's super generous of you, Jordan. So, I mean, for those of you who might need to hop off, we'll definitely post a replay afterwards tomorrow, so you have a chance to go back into the Q&A. But if you can stay, that's great.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thanks, Jordan. That's awesome. Bart, would you like to go next with your question? I know you're ready, so go for it.
Thank you so much. Is it possible to share, because I just built a community and just quickly wanted to show you what my question is. Do you see it?
Yes.
Basically, Jordan, the question is this, because the company I'm representing is kind of big. They are they want to protect their brand. It's we are selling the robot for children, and what I done here is I created these spaces here. In the community, I'm saying that, you know, our culture is that we are meeting every single week for 30 minutes. And the transformation is this. We help India's parents to become super parents. And like, you know, so we are practicing parenting skills. And my question is this. So we are meeting every single week for 30 minutes. I'm delivering them replays then. And then if on live streams, I have some parent who will tell me some kind of good story regarding their parenting, I'll cut it and put it into community members so that it's so that basically they are showcased, like they are top contributing parents. And the cool thing about this, I think, is in these spaces, they cannot post, they cannot comment, and they cannot direct message each other, because the company is very much on,
So,
you know.
Sorry to interrupt, Bart. I love what you're sharing, and I think it's inspiring for everyone. I just want to make sure that we get to the questions in here. Do you mind just asking a question real quick so we get to it?
So the question is this: how can a big brand, global brand, protect their brand from people who actually paid for a product, but then they can actually do some bad thing inside of the community, like, you know, direct message? That's why I switched off all the interactions in the main one. And then when they showed me they've been on the live stream 2 times in a row, then I'll put them into top contributors group.
Yeah.
And do you think it's a good strategy?
I'm just going to take that one real quick. I think it's a great strategy. And I think that's something that you can definitely develop over time with your members, kind of like rewarding the best behaviors, also having a clear code of conduct, disabling, you know, specific actions if you need to. Let's definitely have you come to office hours if you can on Tuesday. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I think specific questions about best practices around community building would be best addressed there, if that's okay with you. But thanks for sharing your community. It looks awesome. And I think it's going to be very inspiring for a lot of people building similar brand communities. So thanks, Bart.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Jennifer, over to you. What's your question? Let's keep it like short and sweet. Question, answer, question, answer. Go for it.
Problem. Thank you so much. So where I'm stuck at is I'm a business analyst, right? So I am just, it's 2 things. Either whether you're an organization, I can help you become more efficient, or if you're starting off, I can give you the foundations. I do have kind of like how I want the community, but I'm stuck as to how do I show that to the public, right? Like, how does a business analyst sell to the public? I don't know if that's like where I'm stuck is how to break it down, how to break down what a business analyst does into a community where I can help you.
So you're the business analyst. You're not trying to teach people to be business analysts?
Well, I never thought about it that way, just because I actually never thought about it that way. I was thinking more of like how to help business owners become more efficient, or if they're starting a business, how to have like solid foundations that when they scale from small to big, they don't have a lot of issues. Because what I'm noticing a lot of issues is people will start a business, not have the basic foundation. So, you know, when they have that blessing that they scale, they're just all over the place. They don't have their books right. They don't have this. And then they're spending a lot of money on like several softwares when you can really narrow it down to about 2 or 3 softwares. But I'm not sure.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're helping a new or a first-time business owner go from 0 to 1. So create the business and go to $100,000 or something like that, and taking them through a predetermined path or journey, and you know all the problems that they're going to encounter. So I would position it around that. You're helping people get there faster and with, you know, avoiding the problems and headaches that they don't even know exist, maybe. So you would just be sharing a lot of education and case studies and things like that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope that's helpful. And feel free to DM me too if you want to chat more about it.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much. I just don't want to take people's time. Thank you.
Okay, who is next? Are you on mute, Mathilde?
Oh, sorry, Mimir, is that how you pronounce your name? Over to you.
Mimir was very nice. Absolutely. Thank you. I was thinking when because I have a community I'm just starting up. How would you get around to put the community access to multiple courses? And would you recommend that way of doing it, or would you actually not recommend? I know this is a little bit like Circle, but I'm thinking like CPCs, is it more powerful actually than the community via courses model? That was my thought.
Are you asking, sorry if I ask you, sorry, Jordan, real quick, clarifying question. Do you mean like, is it better in terms of pricing and business model to have like access to a community that includes many courses, like a membership versus selling a course? Is that right? Because I had the same question
exactly
for Jordan. So Jordan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think that works really well. You know, in the old days, people used to sell lots of small courses, and you're asking people to make a lot of decisions. And I think it works better to just have them make one decision, which is to become a member, become a pro, become a premium subscriber, however you want to describe that, become a part of our community, which gives you unlimited access to all of these courses. And then you're able to really stack the value, because you can say, this course was $150, this one was $300. In combined total, it's $2,000 worth of courses, plus you're getting the community and you're getting coaching and this and that for only $100 a month, or whatever your pricing and model is. I think that makes sense.
And that like, I'm sorry, that would be so that would be like really good for like niche courses, I'm also guessing, more than anything else, like particularly niche areas.
Yeah, because you're only making them take one decision, and then you're showing them that you'll help them get all the way to the end, and you'll give them all of the next steps.
Yes. Yeah. Building as you go. Thanks so much. Oh my God. Thanks for staying longer, because this was actually been burning in my brain.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Love it. Jeremy, would you like to go next? We have a couple more questions, and then I just want to spend 4 minutes tops to tell you about next week, what's happening in the bootcamp.
Yeah. So hi. I came late. I look forward to seeing the first part, but Jordan, you really opened my eyes. I think what you're trying to get across is, and maybe Circle is too, CPC is not just a space in a core, a space that's a course. It's all of the types of spaces that we have put together, sort of working together to do whatever it is you're trying to do. Is that because you didn't have courses back when you created yours, so you had a bunch of different spaces with different things? But that's kind of how we should design these, not just have a list of courses or one course, which I'm doing a list of courses, but we should have space groups, which are a topic, and you sell a topic and it includes everything. Is that how I should be thinking about this when I work on mine?
Yeah, I think so. So you're helping them master that topic, and that includes a bunch of different ingredients. One is watching the courses, another is Q&A, right? Another is the live events, another might be some accountability or sharing success stories. So you're giving, another could be even a space of just curated content that's not even necessarily your content. Could be YouTube and podcasts and articles, where again, it's all about shortening the time and giving them the fastest path. So it's like, hey, go read these 2 blogs and watch this YouTube video from some other random person because it's really, really good. So thinking about structuring it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And thanks for calling this out, Jeremy, because that's definitely something that we need to explain a little bit better in our tutorials. Spaces are building blocks, right? You can mix and match them. You can decide to start with a course and then enhance the course with a discussion space, with a chat space. But some people like to start with just very few spaces because they want to learn from their members or students, and then add more activities, more touch points along the way. So that's a great question.
Start Your Course Bootcamp is actually a community-powered course, yeah?
Exactly. #meta. That's what we love doing here. Awesome. Let's take a couple more questions. Real quick, Jason, would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, how's it going? I got a quick question for you. We already have an existing course, and once our members take the course, it kind of brings them into a new level of pre-employment, let's call it. So it just makes them a better candidate for getting a job. Now, the community, the entry to get into this community that we're creating now is through that course, and it just And then within the community, we think we could plus them up with additional training and things like that, which make it very attractive, I think, to employers. My question is very simple. Do you have a good example or a model within your community where you have third-party people come in, big companies, big corporate companies that can have a presence, potentially be an admin to that account to make sure that they post the most updated information relevant to their company to try to attract our community members into their company, and then we become recruiters, right?
Yes, you can definitely do that. Yeah, so you could create different spaces based on maybe different categories of jobs or different qualifications or different companies if you wanted to, or you could just have it all in one place, one space. And you could make those corporate partners moderators of the space so that they have the ability to post new jobs on their own.
Perfect. Is there an example that you could point me to that so I could see the visual? Is there somebody that's doing something similar just so I could get some ideas? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think publicly available, but I have one that I'm thinking of that's a client. So if you DM me, I can show you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
All right.
you.
I think we're going to wrap up Q&A here. I hate to be the timekeeper. This is like the good cop, bad cop. There's no good cop. I'm just the bad cop here. I do want to share a couple of things before we say goodbye. And thank you to Jordan. So let me share my screen real quick. But then we'll keep the chat and make sure we address any topics that you found interesting or that you want to dive deeper into in the bootcamp spaces. So what's next? Week 2 is next. The bootcamp continues next week on Monday. You just need to head to the bootcamp space for the second video lesson that will be focused on how to set up your course space and how to basically create your curriculum. So we're going to dive into specifically the new course space and how you can use it to build your course content and set up your curriculum inside it. And then week 3 and 4 will be more about community touch points and how you can enhance the experience with community. We're here to support you. There are hundreds of people in this bootcamp. So make sure that you ask your questions. You have tons of questions here, which are amazing. Make sure you ask them in the bootcamp space, share your progress, and also, of course, share your progress as well, because this is the best way that you can get support from Jordan, from experts, but also from peers, from people who might be on the same journey, right? Tuesday, we have office hours. So come with all your product circle related questions. We have a full hour every week dedicated to answering those live. Next Thursday, we're back with another workshop at the same time. And then on Friday, we'll also have a thread in the discussion space to really gather your questions around the course feature per se. So if you have really just lingering questions, things you're not sure how to do, we'll make sure that we answer those asynchronously as well as at office hours. And anytime, like I said, I'm just repeating myself at this stage, share your progress, just really use the resources in the bootcamp space to build with other people. Like Bart said, this is really, it's a bit meta. We are teaching you about community powered courses by running one. So hopefully that is something that you got and that you can get inspiration from. In case you're not in the bootcamp space, in case you're new here, it's still time to join. We're only on week 1. So the only thing you need to do, and this is animated here, you see, you just need to join the 3 bootcamp spaces in the Circle community, how it works, weekly lesson, share your progress. And then whenever we post in those spaces, in the weekly lesson space, you'll receive an email as well, so you won't miss anything. All right. So with that, let's all unmute and give some physical claps to Jordan for his awesome workshop. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, or not. Let's go. Thank you, Jordan.